too, and I don't see. Oh, great. Thanks, Carrie. Carrie, I'm doing some of the housekeeping pieces today as we get the meeting started. So once I speak to the ASL interpreters and yourself, I'll drop that URL back into
sounds
the
good.
Chat for folks.
Okay.
Super. Thanks for your flexibility, Carrie.
Oh yeah, no worries. And may I ask, what is your name? I don't see you.
Oh,
listed.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm David. I'm David Markey. So.
Okay.
Hi, Haran. Welcome. Gang's all here.
David, yes. Good morning, everyone.
Just so you know, our other interpreter has also arrived.
Very good.
Great. Super.
Welcome. Reggie's looking official.
Trying.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Today.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Oh. Yes, ma'am. You had a question?
Yes, question from the interpreters. Are we going to be spotlighted and be able to turn our video on and off for switching back and forth? We're going to be switching every half an hour.
Yes, I believe that is what's going to happen, Erin. So the PowerPoint should be on the left-hand side of the screen, and then each interpreter will be spotlighted, and then whoever is speaking from the commission as well. So
perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. And there are two of you, Erin and Bethany, I'm assuming is our other interpreter, yes?
So
correct, yes.
Super. Welcome, Bethany.
It'd be good to know who's going first so I can just be ready. Okay.
Erin's waiting.
Erin is starting.
Okay.
Reggie, you're a little bit in the dark. Is there
I
a
know
light?
the problem is I have backlight in my office and I don't know how to fix it. Sorry.
You can't turn towards it, can you?
No, because it's the computer setup.
The computer. Gotcha.
Please.
Okay. No spotlight.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. No worries.
We could have you like a Vermeer painting with light coming in from the side.
Hey, Jarrell. Good morning. Cora, I see Cora too. Good morning. Good morning. Staff. Yeah, that's better. Oh, somehow that's better.
It just does what it wants to.
Okay.
The light comes and goes.
Yes.
A comment on my life. Light comes and goes.
Reggie, there's a poem in there somewhere.
Somewhere, yes.
Or a very bad limerick.
Exactly.
Ron, do you want it's a minute to 10, and in terms of people getting settled in the public, should we start letting them in now or?
Sounds good. Thank you, Patrick. Now, and I say we go until about 10:03 or so, and we can get started. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As folks start to tune in and get onto our WebEx platform, a quick note of welcome. We will begin with our the chair of the Commission on Arts and Humanities, Reggie Van Lee, giving an address, a welcome, in a couple of minutes. So just to hang tight for a couple more minutes as folks sign on, and welcome to our CAH 2023 Grants and Public Art program launch. Chairman Van Lee, we are ready for you.
Good. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Reggie Van Lee. I'm an African-American man with a light blue shirt and a dark blue suit, and I serve as the chairperson of the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, the state arts agency for the District of Columbia. We begin by acknowledging we are on the ancestral homelands of the Nacotchtank, Anacostan, and Piscataway peoples, the first residents of what would become Washington, DC. Thank you all for joining us this morning as we share some exciting updates about our upcoming grant programs. This year, we're doing things a little different. Instead of opening all the grants at once, we're taking a staggered approach. This will help to balance the workload for the staff so that they can provide the best possible customer service to our applicants and grantees. And since many of you apply to more than one grant program, this staggered approach will hopefully be more manageable for you as well. As I'm sure you all know, we're projected to again have the largest budget in the agency's history next fiscal year. It is our continued commitment to be as thoughtful, equitable, and inclusive as possible with regards to how we manage these funds through our grant programs. Expect to hear more, even more updates in the coming months. How's that for a cliffhanger? With that, I'll turn it over to our Executive Director, Haran Sarakabrahan. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman Van Lee. I am officially cliffhanging at this moment. Welcome everyone again to our session today. We will be introducing a number of our grant programs, providing overviews, and also kind of bringing the wonderful staff who work behind the scenes to support all this work to the camera, so you can put a face to the good work. So by way of a very quick introduction, actually, my name is Haran Sarakabrahan. I am a Black African Ethiopian woman here today in a white shirt and a bright yellow jacket in an effort to bring the sunshine into the room here. So by way of just a very quick overview, We launched about 7 grants on May 2nd, last Monday, grants and public arts programs. And as Reggie said, we have a few more grant programs that will be launching in June. So we'll also present. There's one more grant program that's due to roll out in FY22. So we will be presenting that a little bit later in the session today. As I said, you'll hear from our public art and grant team members, and it's just really important to acknowledge their good work. So many of our staff remain invisible. They're the ones that make the wheels turn each and every day, and so I'd like to just thank them for the day-to-day work that keeps this big wheel turning. We've also been presenting public programming through our invigorated community outreach initiatives that kind of follow 3 tracks. We have a business of the arts track that presents opportunities, professional learning opportunities for artists to be able to sell their work and present a package for earning an income through their art. The CAH in the community track is mainly an opportunity for us to present agency commission content with the public, such things as our art bank collection. And we do have quite a few staff members who are trained in the arts, who guide some of these discussions. We'll have an interesting program in materials and methods for conservation coming up in the public arts realm. And we get an opportunity to present some of our programs to the public and sort of behind the scenes look at some of our programs through this track for CAH in the community. Our artist showcase track basically showcases artists, grantees, and their work. We look for opportunities to pull together groups of artists or individual artists to highlight and showcase, to really embody the good work that our community is doing and provide a big platform for for sharing their works. So thus far this year, we have worked in partnership with the Washington Area Lawyers for the Arts, WALA, and sister agencies within district government to present these professional development programs. The themes include copyright and trademarking, process and resources to become a registered business in the district, and developing exhibition pop-up programs. For CAH in the community, we have focused on one of our new programs, which is a program for older adults in the district and arts learning. We launched the first sort of pilot around this idea, and it was called Create and Thrive. And I'm really happy to note that in this FY23 coming year, we will be able to continue the good work of that pilot program in connecting teaching artists to these programs that present arts learning to all our older adults in the district. And we're working with other district government agencies to make that happen as well. We also had a session on demystifying grant panels. This is really important for folks that are not considering applying this year. We really do invite you to become panelists. Our process is pretty thorough. It is a peer review process, and it's a good way to understand sort of what goes into evaluating applications. So please consider applying, and we're able to offer a small or honorarium as of this year. So we invite you to be a part of that. We also, in our Artist Showcase series, we have been able to present some really interesting programs thus far on mentorship in the arts, and also looking at some intersections between art and the environmental justice themes. We've looked at design and eco-friendly fashion, featuring our grantee artists and our designer grantees as well. In our arts education department, we have increased our access and inclusion workshop series, and we've sort of broadened it to include other themes in inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. Most recently, we have it's rolling now. I think there's one more program left, but we've provided a 7-part program exploring themes of inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. And the last one scheduled for the 7-part program will take place on May 17th, and we'll provide some more information a little bit later about all of that. I will stop here and I will pass it along to our Deputy Director, David Markey, who will sort of guide us through the next few slides, and we'll come back again for the question answer period. Thanks so much, David. It's all yours.
Thanks, Haran. Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see so many familiar faces and names. Welcome back, and a warm welcome to all of you who may be new to the Commission and just sticking your toe in our particular pool. So welcome. As Haran said, we have a lot of grant programming that we've just launched, we are about to launch, and my colleagues, the two leaders in the public art and grants departments will share out on each of those opportunities with their respective teams. But before we jump into that, just a couple of housekeeping pieces. We will have an opportunity at the end of the morning to field questions that you may have about any of the programs. So please, as we move through the presentation, feel free to drop your questions into the chat, and myself and a couple other colleagues will keep an eye on those and try to collate them and, as I said, answer the questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any technical difficulties, please feel free to drop those into the chat as well, and we'll try to help you out there. You may have noticed we are joined by some colleagues who are American Sign Language interpreters. So they will be pinned to the screen to help us with the presentation. While there's an automated closed captioning feature in WebEx, we are also joined by a live closed captioner. I've dropped there's a URL that I've dropped into the chat. I'll drop it in once more. And you can connect with that to get a very accurate transcript of the conversation today. And now I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Lauren Dugas Glover, who is the manager of the Public Art Department. Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Dugas Glover, and despite the picture, I do have short hair now, and I'm an African-American woman. I'm wearing a yellow blouse and a blue blouse underneath. So happy to have everyone here today and excited to share all of the good things that we have cooking in the Public Art Department. And at this point, I would love to have my team members introduce themselves. We do both grant programming, grants management, and we also are responsible for the care and the maintenance of our 3,000 plus objects, both public art and the portable art collection. So I'm going to turn it over to Ron, and we'll go in the order of how the pictures appear on this slide. Ron? We'll go to Sarah then.
Good morning, everybody. I am Sarah Gordon. I'm the curator here at the Commission. And for purposes of today's talk, I'll share with you that I oversee the Art Bank grant and the Art Exhibition or Curatorial grant.
Next is Deidre. Deidre, I think you're on mute. You're still on mute, Deidre. Didn't know.
We're having problems accessing the meetings on Cisco and YouTube. So I just thought you guys would like to know that.
Okay, so why don't, I will go through, Deidre Darden is the fourth person on the slide. She's an African-American woman with short hair. And she is a new public art coordinator and is working on several special initiatives, including Murals DC, Cooper Gordon Park, and the Color the Curb project for schools. Carrie, are you able to communicate?
Hello. Hello. Hello, I'm Carrie Kennedy. I'm an African-American woman. I'm wearing a blue and black top. I'm working with the Public Art Building Communities Grant, which is for DC individuals, organizations, and business improvement districts. The deadline for this grant is July 15th, 2022, and this grant supports individual artists and nonprofit organizations in their effort to install.
Carrie, I think we're just introducing ourselves. We'll go into the details of the program later. We're just introducing ourselves at this point. So just introduce.
I'm turning over this to Crystal.
Well, before we get to Kristen, I think we need to hear from Vanessa, the other member of our team.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Vanessa Ackham. I'm a African Latina, and I have a short cropped hair. I'm wearing a blue blazer with a plum under blouse. Welcome, everyone.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so I'm now going to turn this over to Terrell Johnson, who's the Senior Grants Officer.
Thanks, Lauren. Good morning, and thank you guys for joining. My name is Terrell Johnson. I'm the Senior Grants Officer for the Commission. I'm an African-American male with short black hair, glasses, and I'm wearing a blue shirt. I want to tell you to our grant managers, we're going to tell you which discipline they work in. We'll start with Kamanzi.
Thank you, Terrell. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kamanzi Kalisa. I'm an African-American male with a bald head and a black shirt, and I manage the Humanities cohort of the fellowship program here at the Commission.
And Carrie, you're up next.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Lee. I am a white female with dark hair, wearing a light polka dot shirt. I'm very happy to be with you here today. I think I said Kevin.
Hi all. I think we've got some audio issues going on today. Am I coming in clear now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Terrell. Hi everyone. My name is Kevin Hasser. I'm also on the grants management team here. I am a white man wearing a green and white checked shirt and a gray jacket. And I probably have a little bit too much stubble. I'm going to be talking about the facilities and buildings grant opportunities today. And with that, I'll pass it over to my colleague Khalid.
Hello, everyone. My name is Khalid Randolph, and blue shirt, polo shirt, and I will be talking to you all about the East to the River program, and I will pass it now to my.
Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Nunez. I am an African American and Hispanic man. I'm wearing a black shirt and fuchsia blazer. I'll be talking about the Projects, Events, and Festivals grant, mainly for organizations, but I share with my colleagues who's coming up next. And I also share the Arts Humanities Fellowship Program for Music and Go-Go. And I'll pass it to my colleague, Travis Marcus.
Good morning, everyone. Is my audio working okay? Sounds good. Hello, everyone. My name is Travis Marcus. I am the program grant manager for Project Events and Festivals for Individuals, which I share with my colleague, as previously stated, Mr. Robert Nunez. I look forward to today, and I will be passing this over to my colleague, Allery.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Camille Ashford. I'm the Arts Learning Specialist here at the Commission. I work directly with Valerie Clark, who's unable to join us today. But thank you. I'm passing it over to Jean.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jean. I'm a white woman with silver hair wearing a maroon sweater today. And I am the grants management specialist who will be shepherding the Relief and Recovery Fund organization this year. And on Monday, we're looking forward to helping you. And I'll pass it on to my colleague, Crystal Sight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Sight. I am a white woman with shoulder-length light brown hair wearing a bright blue cardigan over a black dress. And I am pleased to be here today and we'll be talking to you more about our Relief and Recovery Fund grant for individuals. And I'll pass it along to Marcia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcia Howard. I'm an African American female. I am wearing a light brown and white top, and I am the dance manager for DC Commission of the Arts, all things dance. And has everyone gone? Who's next?
I will take it from there. Thank you,
Okay,
Marcia.
thank you.
Next slide, please. The DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities offers several funding opportunities for individuals and nonprofit organizations located in DC. For FY23, the Commission offers the following program types: Arts and Education, Project-Based, Capacity Building, and the Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program. Also, we have 2 relief grants that will open for the current year. More to come on those a little later. To tell us more about our grant opportunities, I will hand it over to our grant managers, starting with Camille Ashford.
Thank you, Terrell. I am managing the Arts and Humanities Education Projects grant, which funds up to $30,000 of no match to support programs that target youth, grades pre-K through 12, adults ages 50 and up, as well as teachers and educators. The deadline for this grant is June 3rd at 10 p.m. Next slide, please. So we had a workshop on May 10th. That recording is now available on our website, and we have 2 upcoming workshops that I hope grantees interested in this application or in this grant can join us. That's May 26th and May 31st. The notable items for this grant are we've added the older adult cohort as well as arts partner. So the arts partner is basically just a long-term residency. Please email me at camille.ashford1@dc.gov if you have direct questions, and I look forward to speaking with you. Moving on to field trips and experiences. This grant is managed by Valerie Clark. As I mentioned, I'll be presenting on her behalf. This particular grant funds up to $50,000 to support arts and cultural field trip tickets, transportation costs, and professional development opportunities for educators. As well, the deadline is June 10th at 10 p.m. for this particular grant. Next slide, please. There are workshops coming up on May 19th and June 1st. This particular grant, as well as the AHEB grant, new applicants and previously unsuccessful applicants need to apply in order to be considered for this grant. Allery can be contacted at allery.clark@dc.gov. And thank you so much. I'll be turning it over to my colleagues Travis and Robert to present projects, events, and festivals.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Travis Marcus. I am the Project Events and Festivals Program Grant Manager for Individuals. I will be joined shortly with my colleague Robert Nunez. And just a quick overview of the Project Events and Festivals. A few changes. As far as individuals, they are now allowed to apply for up to $10,000, which has recently gone up from $7,500. And now organizations are now allowed to apply for $20,000, which has recently increased from $15,000. We want to make note that this grant is currently open and has a deadline of June 10th at 10 p.m. And projects that fall under this grant are included but not limited to concerts, visual arts exhibitions, literary readings, or festivals that feature dance, folk art, film, music, theater, and other art forms. Again, my name is Travis Marcus, and below you will find my contact information at travis.marcus@dc.gov, as well as my colleague who I will be passing it over to now, Mr. Robert Nunez.
Yes, next slide, please. So our upcoming workshops, similar to what Camille was saying with the workshops for them, but we are requiring that a workshop attendance is required to apply. We have 3 coming up. The first one being Tuesday, May 17th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. The next one is Saturday, May 28th at 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And then the last one is Tuesday, May 31st from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Now, in case if someone is not able to attend any of those workshops, please get in contact with us because we want, and as I see in the chat, we want you all to be successful and to fulfill your vision of what you are wanting to apply for our programs. So please get in touch with us. As Travis said, his email is below. And then for me, I'll really say mine. It's robert.nunez@dc.gov. And now I will pass the baton to Khalid.
Hello, my name is Khalid Randolph, and I will be presenting the East Arts program, which is formerly the name is East of the River. It will be for arts and humanities activities throughout the district, and organizations are able to apply for this. Organizations in the Southeast and Northeast only with BIPOC organizations. So in that, BIPOC is Black and Indigenous and people of color, and you have to have a budget of less than $500,000. We have all the designed, all the activities to include below with the disciplines, and the discipline that's not listed but is not included, you can apply is humanities. So with that, my email contact, khalid.randolph@dc.gov. Thank you, and I'll pass it now to my colleague, Kevin Hasser.
Right. Hi, everyone. Let's see. So, yeah, we are talking about facilities and buildings here. I decided to wait for my screen to catch up. I am super proud to manage the facilities and buildings program again for this coming year. A couple of notes of clarification on this, because the last 2 years, Facilities and Buildings has done double duty. This program, the last couple of years, has been divided. So you might be familiar with this program based on what its original intent was, which is for capital projects. You might also be familiar with this program for the rent and relief component of it. I just want to be clear about rent and relief. There is a strong interest in that program. CAH is exploring options for that in the coming year. For right now, for today, we're talking about the capital projects portion of that program. And if you have applied for grants before, if you've been looking at facilities and buildings before, take another look, because you might find that there are some surprises in there for you. As I said, this is for capital projects. And so some of these amounts are quite significant, as you can see on the screen. If you are pursuing the purchase of a brand new facility, or just a facility is like is a new space, a new plot of land, a new building, you can apply for up to $500,000. For all other eligible projects, you can apply for up to $250,000. And duly noted right there, it says in the match component for awards greater than $100,000, as well as for applications greater than $100,000, CAH does still require a one-to-one cash award match. Any award that is $100,000 and under does not require a cash match. The application window for this tracks pretty well with the prior one, eStarts. It opens up on June 6th. And what the purpose of this is, you know, I asked you to take another look at this one because you might be surprised. Yes, this does still fund capital projects, traditional ones, facilities and buildings are in the name. If you're interested in purchasing a building outright, if you're interested in improving the building that you currently own or have a long rental relationship with through HVAC, through windows, through floor treatments, those are all eligible projects. But also several years ago, depreciable significant equipment was included in this opportunity. And this past year, as the world was going virtual, the definition for capital projects for this program expanded to include digital assets and technology as well. My contact information is down there, kevin.hasser@dc.gov. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. And we'll skip ahead to the next slide. Excellent, great. And because this program is launching on June 6th, we are still developing our workshop schedule. There will be plenty of opportunities. If you haven't received a Facilities and Buildings award, the capital projects one within the last 2 years, then yeah, we will require that you attend one of those workshops. So please be in touch. We're going to provide a lot of opportunities so you can get due access to that. A couple of changes for the year. Is that we are, again, we're formalizing something that happened last year with the inclusion of digital and technology projects. And also we are including preservation projects, historic preservation projects, as well as the planning for those projects in the coming year's cycle. So if you've been having your eye on a couple of those projects, they tend to be pretty expensive, then feel free to consider this. My contact information is there again, and please reach out if you have any questions. Until then, I'm going to transfer this over to my colleague, our new colleague, the Senior Grants Officer, Terrell.
Thank you, Kevin. The Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program has 10 disciplines. Those disciplines are Humanities, Visual Arts, Dance, Music, Go-Go Musicians, Teaching Artists, Theater, Media, Interdisciplinary, and Design Arts. To tell you more about our fellowship grants, I will hand it over to Carrie Caliber. Carrie?
Well, I hope everyone can I switched over to that. Right, so this is my go to the next, please. Open to DC reps to visual DC citizens, and we have the over to
Carrie, may I interrupt? Carrie, it's...
Let me see if I can that.
So we'll go to the next slide. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, Terrell, we can hear you.
Perfect. So I'll just kind of fill in for Carrie just a little bit here. Carrie, do you have your headset? Do you want to try that or? Okay. So really quick, the fellowship grant, the general support funding for this, for artists and humanities practitioners who significantly contribute to the District of Columbia as a world-class cultural capital. AHFP recognizes the impact of individual arts and humanities practitioners within the district and supports the vitality that those individuals bring to the
a change to make this work better, hopefully. Hi, everyone. So the DC Humanities Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program, or AHFP, is open for individual DC residents, individual artists in the city, and this is what we think of as a general operating support grant for our arts and humanities practitioners who are contributing to this rich, varied, wonderful arts community that we have here in the city. This award is up to $12,500. There is no match and no project requirement. As we said, it is a general operating support. We just want to support you continuing to be able to create and work and thrive. We'll be opening the application on June 6th. It'll be open through July 8th. We'll close the application window at 10 p.m. You can reach out to any of the 10 grant managers, or you can reach out to me, and I'll drop my email in the chat soon. And we can go to the next slide. We'll be holding virtual workshops after that June 6th opening date. We'll have more information available on our website where we host all of our workshops and have all of that information. And just as a reminder, there is no project requirement, and we've got that deadline at 10 p.m. And I think with that, I am going to toss this back to Public Art and Lauren Dugus Glover.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. So the Public Art Department offers several grant opportunities, as well as we take care of and maintain, as I mentioned before, the 3,000 plus objects that are part of our collection, both those in public space that are installed in public space, as well as our portable collection, Art Bank. And we also take care of the administration of the Art Bank program. We fund grant projects and programs on an annual basis, as well as special one-time initiatives and partnerships with other district agencies. We offer those grant programs throughout the year. So I ask you to watch out for those announcements, and you can always log into the CAH website and on the Public Art landing page to get more information about those. So let's move to the next slide. So in addition to these annual fiscal year 23 grant programs, as I mentioned before, we have a couple of grant programs I just want to call your attention to real quickly, and you can go onto the website to get more information that are live now, and the applications are closing at the end of this month. There's a Gordon Cooper Park sculpture project that closes on May 23rd. The Murals DC grant program closes on May 26th, and the Very Legacy Public Art project closes on May 27th. But to go on for the specific grant programs that are teeing up for next year's annual program, the Art Bank program, the Art Exhibition Curatorial program, and the Public Art Building Communities, I'm going to turn it over to those project managers to provide a fuller description of those projects. So we'll start first with Sarah Gordon, and then we'll go to Carrie Kennedy. Sarah?
Good morning again, everybody. I think I neglected to describe myself when I came on earlier. I'm a white woman with straight brown hair wearing a black floral blouse against a plain light background. And I'm very happy to talk to you, if we could forward the slide, to talk to you about the Art Bank program. The Art Bank grant is the method by which we acquire art into our Art Bank collection. And this, as Lauren mentioned, is our collection of over 3,000 works of art that, once acquired, go out on loan into district government buildings across the city. The grant is open now, and the deadline is June 24th at 4 p.m. Much is the same about this grant as it was last year, but we are always really excited to see submissions from new artists, submissions from artists who've been working for years, Everyone who is living in the district and within 50 miles is invited to apply, both individual artists and district-based nonprofits who represent regional artists. Next slide, please. Just to show you some examples of what we have in the art bank, this is a recent acquisition. It is an oil painting of a woman sitting at a table surrounded by books. You see some nice reflections in the table. It's a beautiful piece, really rich colors. Next slide, please. We do have 3 workshops set up for Art Bank, and they're not required, but we definitely encourage attendance, especially if you're a new applicant. You are welcome to reach out to me at any time with questions, and my contact information is on the slide, and I will drop it in the chat as well. Next slide, please. This is another example of a work recently acquired. This is acrylic and gold leaf on wood, and it's a beautiful representation of a Japanese wedding kimono. It's white with colorful birds and also gold leaf birds. Next slide, please. Great, so the second grant that I'm currently overseeing is the Art Exhibition or Curatorial Grant. This grant is for district-based curators who have at least some experience curating. That could mean you did a show in a coffee shop or in your apartment, and we just need to see that you have the ability to see the project through, to handle the budget. This is also open now. The deadline is July 8th at 4:00 p.m. And this grant is for the curator to bring an exhibition into our gallery space, which is in our building at 200 I Street Southeast, and also our virtual platform. Next slide, please. This is an installation shot of the recent exhibition that one of our grantees curated, Julio Valdez, Resilience and Uncertainty. As you can see, he used the space in really creative ways, which we encourage curators to do. He had a hanging sculptural piece. He had all different types of media, prints, textiles. Next slide, please. We do have virtual workshops for the curatorial grant, and again, it's not required but highly encouraged, especially with this grant, to attend a workshop, to reach out with me so that we can really make sure that your application is as strong as it can be. New and I think very exciting this year for this grant is that we're encouraging curators to work with a co-curator or a mentee. And this is both to share the workload and also to bring new curators into the fold and really share the practice with them. And we are offering a higher budget if you thoughtfully integrate a co-curator or mentee into the proposal. Next slide, please. This is another shot of the recent exhibition. And again, you see lots of different media, paintings, sculptures. It's a really interesting space. We encourage you to come take a look at the space so that you can think about how to really show your work there. And I will turn it over now to my colleague, Carrie Kennedy.
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Carrie, and I'm working with the Public Art Buildings, next slide, Public Art Building Communities. This application is for individuals, organizations, and business improvement districts with budgets up to $75,000 for individuals, $125,000 for organizations, and $150,000 for business improvement districts. The deadline is July 15th. And this grant supports individual artists and nonprofit organizations in their efforts to design, fabricate, and install new, temporary, or permanent works of public art that connects artists and artworks to their communities. Next slide. Hello, so this is Monica Johan Bowe's work, Concrete Dreams. And it uses poetry and printmaking to highlight the dreams and inspirations of residents of DC and Katahali towards a sustainable and just future, focusing on climate change. The poetry is inscribed on saris, on the buildings through a light installation and small plaster sculptures. Next slide. We have live chat sessions to help individuals and organizations apply for our grant. What's new and notable? For any project that costs more than the allowable grant request amount, the applicant must show their ability to fund the difference, and projects with multiple unique sites and different artists must be tied together thematically. The applicant must provide separate budgets and implementation schedules for each unique site. Next slide. This should be Logan Circle Community Association. Let's paint the street. There were 16 artists who transformed 20 utility boxes into works of art, and you can see them throughout the community, and the artist is Ian White. And now I'm going to turn over this presentation to Crystal.
Thank you, Carrie. Hello again, everybody. I'm Crystal Sight, a grants management specialist, and as you saw earlier, I am one of the grant managers for AHFP for their interdisciplinary cohort. And today, I'm actually going to be speaking to you about our FY22 opportunity for relief funding. So we are pleased at DC CAH to be able to offer a relief program once again for individuals that have been impacted, as we know all of the arts community has been, by COVID-19. So the amount of the award will depend on the number of applications, and we will go over that more in depth at workshops, which we do encourage you to attend, of course. And this application opens on Monday, May 16th, so very soon, and it closes on June 6th at 10 p.m. So the purpose, of course, is to help sustain individual artists and humanities practitioners in DC whose projects and livelihoods continue to be affected and impacted by COVID-19. As you may know, we have been able to offer 2 other relief programs in the past for individuals, so we're glad to be able to do it again this year. Next slide, please. During the 3-week window, we will have 4 virtual workshops that will speak specifically to our RRF individual applications. And there will also be general grants live chats on Fridays, and I will be there as well if you have any questions about that. And you are also welcome to email me at crystal.site@dc.gov. And now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Jean Heisel as she talks about more relief funding.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jean Heisel, and I, as the Grants Management Specialist assigned to the Relief and Recovery Fund for organizations, I look forward to working with the groups who are the focus of this grant. The intention of these one-time grants is to help sustain district-based arts and humanities organizations that are new applicants to CAH or grantees who are not currently funded. So even if you received a grant in past years and you don't have a current grant, you are eligible for this grant. The grant, and it's for organizations. We open this grant on Monday, May 16th. It's a quick turnaround. It's 3 weeks. It closes on June 6th. Next slide, please. We will be holding virtual workshops, and I highly recommend that you attend. Tuesday, May 24th at 4, Thursday, May 26th at 12, and Saturday, June 4th, Crystal Sight and I will combine for a Relief and Recovery Fund, our last workshop, and we'll talk about individuals and organizations that day. If you have questions, you can contact me at jeanheisel@dc.gov. So it's JEANNE.HISLE@dc.gov. And I look forward to working with you. And now on to Terrell.
Thank you, Jean. We just want to give you some really important tips for applicants. So first up, we'll start with clean hands certificates. The District of Columbia Clean Hands mandate stipulates that individuals and businesses are to be denied city goods or services, including licenses, permits, grants, and contracts, if there's a debt owed to the District of Columbia of more than $100 for fees, fines, taxes, or failure to file required district tax returns. To obtain a certificate of clean hands, please visit mytax.gov mytax.dc.gov. I'll say that again. It's mytax.dc.gov. A Clean Hands certificate is required for all grant applications and additional payments for awarded grants. Next up, we have our workshops. I just want to point out one quick thing. We have two. So we have our workshops, which focus in on a particular grant, but we also have our live chat where we'll have our grant officers on just to answer general questions that you may have. And those take place pretty much every Friday. So our workshops, the commission staff members conduct workshops at which participants learn about the agency and the steps to submit a successful grant application. During these workshops, staff and applicants discuss each grant-making opportunity. CHA encourages all applicants to attend these workshops to learn useful information about the agency, funding opportunities, and how to submit a grant application. Workshops are not only helpful for new applicants, but also for returning grantees, as this is how we communicate any new changes to the grants. And I will hand it over to Lauren.
Okay, thank you, Terrell. Just want to tag a little bit on to the workshops. We then post those, we tape those, record those workshops, and then they're posted live within the next 24 to 48 hours on the landing page of that particular grant program. So if you missed the workshop, or if you want to go back in and double check something you think you heard or didn't quite understand, you have an opportunity to do that. We also put together fact sheets, frequently asked questions that come our way, and we post those also on the landing page of the grant application so that everyone has equal opportunity to learn from others and be able to put your best foot forward for your application. So when you do your application, you need to use our grants portal. And there's a link to the grants portal attached to every single grant that you want to apply to. There are several links throughout the website, and the link is going to be dropped in the chat as well. It's important that you go in and you can register right away. You don't have to sign up for a grant program, but if you go ahead and register, if you haven't registered before, that's one less thing you have to do when it comes to submitting your grant application. Once you do register and you log in, you want to go to new applications, and you will see a list, a running list of all the open grant applications. You need to make sure you click on the correct link so that you're applying to the correct grant. Sometimes people make a mistake and they may apply to the wrong grant. We want to make sure that everyone gets to the right grant. So be very careful and be very cognizant of the fact of the name of the grant that you're signing on to. The other thing that's important is that the District of Columbia requires general liability insurance for all of our projects. And this, for organizations, you probably already have general liability insurance, and so you can provide that as an option. For individual artists, there are plenty of insurance providers who offer arts insurance for special projects, or some of you may just carry it for a year because this is your profession and this is what you do on a regular basis. But that is a requirement for our grants as well. The other part of it is Terrell was talking about the certificate of clean hands. As far as legal documents, everyone must submit a W-9, every organization, every individual. And it's very important that you use your legal name. Many artists operate and have an artistic name, but you need the legal name for which you use to file your taxes every year. And you need to make sure that that number is consistent with any other document that you submit for this grant. If you have to provide your Social Security number, your EIN number, it's very important to make sure that the numbers match all the other documents that you may have to fill out in order to receive a grant, and that it is your legal name, which matches the name of the application. Also, just to mention for all of this, if you have any questions about any of these guidelines or these policies, reach out to the grants managers. Everyone is always available and really excited and want to help everyone the best way we can to experience this opportunity to receive a grant from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to the next slide, which is David or Haran. Are you going to be leaving the next part on the questions?
We are indeed, Lauren. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us through the technical difficulties. There is a lot of value to seeing the faces and getting to meet the staff. So I feel it's important to put a human face behind the work, the intense work that goes into supporting your success with these applications. So thank you for bearing with us. David and I are on. Let me start my video. And we have our Chief of Staff, Jeffrey Scott, also helping cull the questions and presenting it to us as necessary. Our chair is also here, and as are all our grant managers. So we will all tag team on the responses. So Jeff, if you have questions, we can get started.
Sure. So there's one question that came from YouTube asking why the maximum amount for AHEP was just $30,000. I guess maybe talk about how we set the caps for all the grant programs.
Yeah, sure. Jeff, I can jump into that. So the cap used to be $20,000, but we've increased it. We try to get a sense of how much programs cost. In the past, we have required a match. Since the pandemic hit, we waived matches. So we're finding that $30,000 cap is sort of a good cap. There were a couple of questions in the chat about putting multiple projects in a single application. And so generally what we've seen is that the more complicated or complex your application is with adding multiple projects to try and reach that max, the more potential there is to confuse the panelists. So to give you an example of an arts education project, so if somebody wants to pitch an in-school residency and then an after-school program and a summer program, sort of trying to craft an application around all of those pieces and submit an accompanying budget that is clear can be confusing. So we don't recommend you submitting multiple projects as part of the one application, and really try to be realistic and reasonable in in what you include in your application. Again, for ease of relaying that information to the panelists in the room. Lauren, there was a similar question around murals and whether one can submit a project application for multiple murals. I don't know if you'd like to address that.
Sure, I can. So through our Public Art Buildings Community Grant, one of the unique things about that is that's when the community comes to us with their ideas for us to fund. Generally, public art, there's a site that's located and there's a call for artists, do something on this site. But we have a very unique situation where we invite the community to come to us with their ideas and their projects to fund. So you could submit as an artist, as an individual artist, or as an organization. You could submit an application for a mural on a wall. With the Public Art Building Communities Grant, you have to have everything in place at the time of the application. You have to have approval from the owner of the wall to implement that project there. You also have to have the design completed. And as Carrie had mentioned, if you are applying for a grant that includes multiple locations or multiple sites and multiple artists, it all needs to be connected thematically for one grant. That's one thing. And then two, we must have a separate timeline and budget for each one of those unique sites. So that's a roundabout way of saying, yes, you can go ahead and apply for multiple murals through the PABC grant program, but you have to specify which murals. You have to have approval from the property owner. You must have the designs put together, and you must have a unique budget and timeline for each one of those projects.
Thanks, Lauren. I know there were some questions about insurance. And all organizations should have general liability insurance that covers them for the entire year. I know some individual artists will want to get insurance that is specific to their project. So maybe just for one day or a couple of days out of the year. One of the challenges we have at the Commission is that we try to move all of your paperwork as quickly as possible. And what we found, particularly in the Projects, Events, and Festivals program, is that sometimes a grantee not having insurance causes a delay. So one of the factors that went into us increasing the award amount from $7,500 to $10,000 this year was to sort of in part factor that cost into people's budgets. So please, anybody who is planning on applying to the Projects, Events, and Festivals grant this year, please include the cost of insurance as part of your budget as a line item. So it means that we can move your paperwork quicker, we can get your purchase order to you quicker so you can start your project. Our colleague Travis, I know you manage that grant. I don't know, is there any other words of wisdom and guidance you can give to folks as they engage in that process?
Yes, absolutely. One thing that I was able to see within the past few years is that insurance piece would typically, stand in the way from grantees getting their money in a timely fashion. So as David recently stated, we definitely wanted to increase this grant just to make sure that all of you are equipped with the finances and opportunity to have access to your entire grant period, where you're not just it doesn't take a lot of time to actually lock in your insurance. So we did make that piece mandatory. So if you are awarded the project, events, and festivals for either organizations or individuals, we just ask that you lock in that insurance piece within the first 30 days. So that way, moving forward, there isn't any time delay in you able to receive your funds. So we just thought that increasing that pot might just make it a little bit easier for you all to be successful within this process.
Thanks, Travis. Can I? Oh, sorry. Go on, Lauren.
So, David, I may add also for the public art grants, insurance is an allowable cost. So the grant amount already considers that you will need to purchase insurance, and the funding is such that your insurance is part of that grant. And again, it's something that with your first payment, you should be able to acquire the insurance right away.
Great. Thanks, Lauren. Travis, can I ask a follow-up question? While we try to fund as many people as possible, we don't want applicants to incur the cost of insurance and then find out they didn't get the grant. So can you explain just a little bit about what they should submit with the application?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the application, as David stated, we don't want you all to go out and buy a year-long policy if you're unaware whether you'll receive the grant or not. So at the time of the application, it is 100% okay to submit a general quote, just basic information that the type of insurance you plan on using, the company or policy in which you plan on purchasing if you are awarded. So during the time of you applying, we do not require you to actually pay for your insurance until you are notified whether you are awarded or not.
Great. Thanks, Travis. And I see that Chris in the chat shared the name of an insurance company that they use. We also have a list. We can't recommend an insurance company, but we can, share a list of insurance providers, and then it's up to you to go and find, a quote and submit it, as Travis said, as part of your application.
Excellent. Jeff, any more questions? The chat is really robust. Thank you all for your ideas and for appreciating the work. Thank you. There's a lot of work, and everyone on this call deserves that thanks for the work that they do.
I think I'll have caught a lot of them.
Yeah.
For
There's
individuals wanting a clean hands, they have to go to mytax.dc.gov, correct?
Yes,
yes.
I've sent a link as well. Yeah.
Yeah. There were a couple of questions around the fellowship, and we're launching it a little bit later this year. Sally had asked a question about the criteria. And last year, with most of our grant programs, we sort of took a deep dive into the review criteria. Uh, the one that we added last year for the fellowship was one around district impact. And while the fellowship program is not a project-based grant, we found over the years that panelists are sort of curious. So how is this artist sort of impacting, adding to, enriching the cultural fabric of the city? And so that was why we added that criterion. Um, we're still a couple of weeks out, so we don't know exactly where we'll settle with changes to the review criteria. There may be some tweaks. It's sort of an evolving, iterative process. So that is why we really encourage you to attend one of the workshops. Even though you've applied a million times, been successful a million times, it's just really great to attend. Take an hour, attend a workshop to learn what's new, different, how you might need to nuance your application to make sure that you're not missing out on anything. And then there was another question about the fellowship too. So a former colleague had a wonderful, wonderful way of sort of framing what the fellowship is. Imagine that with the fellowship grant, you're looking over your shoulder, back at your body of work to date, everything that you've done to date, because we want to support you. We internally we call it the general operating support for individual artists. It is not project related. If you include a project pitch in your fellowship application, you will not be successful. Something like the Projects, Events, and Festivals grant is, and again, this colleague framed it as, that's looking forward. You looking forward, what am I going to do? What do I want what type of project do I want to create to enrich the city in which I live? So yes, the fellowship, looking over your shoulder, your body of work to date, your impact on the city to date, and then the project-based grants, such as projects, events, and festivals. Think of that as dreaming forward. So.
Are we still allowing for virtual projects, considering the public health situation?
Great question. Yes, Travis, you were going to jump in on that one.
Yes, absolutely. So we do offer the idea for virtual online projects. We understand that through the pandemic, a lot has shifted, forcing a lot of people to move to a virtual platform. But we also understand that with that comes additional cost and things that you all may have to incur. So with that being said, you are 100% allowed to stay on the path of virtual project events or festivals. And the one difference, in a sense, if your project is in person at all, if there's any interaction with the public, any way, shape, or form, that liability insurance is required within that first 30 days. However, if your project is completely virtual and will not, you do not plan on interacting with the public in person, insurance can be waived. What then happens is if you just reach out to me, again, I'll throw my information in the chat. If you just reach out to me, at the time of the award, what we then do is we allow you to have your insurance waived by submitting a document simply stating that your project is 100% virtual and will not interact with the public. Again, we do understand that, things have shifted. So we want to make this as easy and as convenient for you grantees. So if it's a little more feasible to have a virtual project, it's 100% fine.
Here's a question from YouTube. Has the commission ever considered using continuation grants so that the application process is not as burdensome on smaller organizations?
That is such a good question. Yes, we are actually, as we speak, this year and last year as well, the discussion started about trying to adopt a cyclical sort of application process. A good example is the NEA federal sort of partnership grants that have 3-year cycles. The first year is a deeper application package that you have to bring together, and then the subsequent 2 years are lighter sort of updates and reports style applications. So we're trying to adopt that. The biggest challenge is that our budget, the government budget, is an annual budget. And so we're trying to think through the program parts and the budget parts of it so that we can give applicants, some more time to work on their programs as possible, but also trying to figure out how the budget might work with promising money, ahead of when the budget is approved, which wouldn't work for the way that our budgets, our OCFO works with district government agencies. So we're grappling with that. We think it's an important piece to figure out because it does allow all our grantee partners, organizations, and individuals a breathing moment, and it makes the application process a little less onerous. But this is also a part of all of the other assessments we do every year to see what the barriers are and how we can make it easier for folks to apply. So that's an excellent question, and hopefully we've already begun the conversations with our OCFO partners to see how the budget might work year to year in a multi-year application cycle.
Haran, I know you responded to the question about when the relief grant or grants are launching, but just to make sure everybody caught it in the chat. So the 2 relief grants are launching this coming Monday. One of them, the one for individuals, as Crystal said, we've offered something similar the past couple of years. They're called Relief and Recovery because we know folks are bouncing back. Sometimes it feels it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, but we are bouncing back in some capacity. But they will open on Monday. When you log on to the grants portal, you may see them as available, but they're password protected at the moment. So that gives us an opportunity to test them live before we open them. But we do plan to open both on Monday afternoon. And as Jean mentioned, the Relief Grant for Organizations is a brand new grant for us. Thanks to our chair, Reggie, for making sure that we were trying to cast as wide a net as possible and be as inclusive as possible. And so the focus on that grant is for organizations that are either brand new to CAH or ones that are not currently funded in our FY22 cycle. We understand everybody's hurting and trying to recover and get back to some sort of normalcy as quickly as possible. So we want to be as supportive and as helpful to them in that process.
Thank you. Reggie, would you like to jump in at any point? I know we're sort of looking at the chat questions, but if you'd like to say a few words.
Well, no, I think it's really important, as you've said, that there's a face attached to the people that are doing all the great work with our grantee partners. And as opposed to the commission being this black box that you send stuff into, then stuff comes back, making these connections is really important. So I thank the staff for being here today, for everyone speaking, identifying themselves, talking about the work they're doing. And I really encourage our grantee partners to engage with us, to take advantage of this opportunity. I know there are over 100 people on the call today, which is great. I'd like to get that up to 500 at some point. So we should make sure that those in our community that are interacting with us feel comfortable to come to us and ask all sorts of questions, get all sorts of help. This is the openness that we're trying to push even stronger at the commission. So thank you to the staff and thank you to our grantee partners for being here today and continuing to create this dialogue between the two of us.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you. I think Patrick, who noted that we do have a commission meeting coming up on Monday That's a monthly meeting that occurs on Monday afternoons, 5:30 to 7:30. You can find the calendar of our meeting schedule on our website, but please, that's another opportunity for you all to have a touch point with our commissioners. We have 18 very active, very committed commissioners, a couple of whom are on the call today as well. Thank you for joining us, Gretchen and Cora. But just to understand, as we do, that this isn't just a transaction that happens between us and grantees. We are a public service agency. We are people who are very committed to supporting the community. And so please feel that we are an extension of your family and reach out to us at any point with any question, and we will work to respond and support you through processes.
And the only other thing I'll add, Haran, is we don't always get it exactly right.
We don't.
And so we need you to tell us when we're not getting it exactly right. Our goal is to get it exactly right. So any opportunity for us to improve the process, the way we interact with you, we need you to come to us and tell us that. We don't want people to suffer silently. We want them to speak up because we will fix problems as we see them. So thank you in advance for giving us that input from our grantee partners.
Absolutely. Thank you. Other questions, Reggie? Jeff?
If any of the public art crew is still on, we had a question if a virtual project could be considered for public art funding.
That's interesting. It depends on what the grant program is. I will say for the curatorial project, it is both a virtual gallery experience as well as an in-gallery experience at our 200 I Street gallery. So that's an option. For the PABC project grant, that is a physical object that is installed in public space. So it could have a physical object with a virtual component to it. That's a possibility, but it could not be a total virtual project because it is about pieces that are installed, physically installed in public space within the District of Columbia.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Will Upstart be offered in 23?
This is David again. We are not planning on offering Upstart in the fall or in FY23. We are planning on offering a new capacity building program. And we're moving our capacity building programs to 2-year programs. So for example, the Liftoff program, which is for organizations with budgets under $250,000, they're in their first year of a 2-year program. But we do plan on launching a new capacity building program in the fall.
Thank you, David. If I may jump in, Sally, thank you so much for your for the engagement here. She and I are I'm assuming she. I'm sorry if I am, but we're going back and forth on AHFP and the number of years that a person could apply for AHFP, and also what panel service might look like. And so this is we've looked at other models, places like Boston, even further afield, that have cutoffs for individual artists. Maybe you can apply for 2 years, then you take a year off, then you come back. So we're looking at different models to see what might work. Again, our fellowship program is really there for general support for artists. We're very cognizant that the district is becoming a very expensive place to live. And so, everything from rent to studio space or any sort of workshop space is becoming more and more expensive for artists. And so this is designed in a way to support artists to live and work in the district. And having said that, also, we've had in the past fellows using the funding for everything from childcare to pet care to medical bills. And so it does help. And we're trying to sort of up the ceiling and up the floor of the award so that it's helpful. It's an amount that's helpful to our grantees. So we will look at what that cycle looks like. I think it's too soon to try and make any substantial change to this year's, the 2023's fellowship program, but we'll take note on the feedback that you all are providing about spreading the sort of the ability for people to apply year to year. It makes sense to consider that as an option. Panel service can happen. It can happen for folks as long as your application is not in the in that cohort that's being considered, and as long as you have a professional background or connection to the arts field or genre, we welcome folks to apply to help adjudicate the applications. It is actually a really important community engagement piece. You give back to the arts community this way, and also you get to learn about the process. What are panelists looking at and discussing as they evaluate applications, which will be a handy sort of backroom view to the process that might support your applications in the future.
Can individual artists apply in two different categories? For example, music and graphic design?
Sorry, Jeff, would you mind repeating that question?
Yeah, so an individual artist under the fellowship, could they apply in two different disciplines like graphic design and music at the same time?
They may not, no. They have to choose one or the other. Last year, we added the interdisciplinary category to the mix, and that is really for folks who maybe are media artists and music artists, and then they fuse what it is they do to create something new and wonderful. But we only allow folks to apply once to the fellowship program. They can't submit multiple applications to the same program.
And is the liability insurance required for the fellowship program as well?
It is not, because there's no project associated with it.
Okay.
Haran, I was just going to say there was a question about, I know we've been reimagining East of the River and to make it East Arts. And as Khalid shared, it's, the focus is on organizations that identify as BIPOC-led organizations with budgets under $500,000. If there's anyone who has traditionally been in that program or is interested in it and thinks they may not be eligible because of the new parameters, please reach out to us. One of the other reasons for increasing the arts education dollar amount this year, the maximum award, was, if there's anyone who does sort of fall out of eligibility with a new East Arts program, that we can hopefully find a home for them in one of the other programs. So I would really encourage you. I'll put my email address in the chat. So please reach out to Khalid, who's the East Arts grant manager, or myself, David, or Terrell, our senior grants officer.
Good, thank you. Other questions? And of course, folks, people who may have joined at different points, this is not the last opportunity to interact with us. All the grant managers are available from now until when the grant cycles close. So please, we'll also be posting the PowerPoint and all of the FAQs, the question answers, along with that at the end. Between today and Monday, you'll be able to review that, and the recording will be available on YouTube as well. Good. Thank you. Thank you, folks who are chiming in about the how this is being helpful, this teletown hall and the presentation, but also our availability to support folks through the application process.
Can the individuals apply to more than one grant, for example, the fellowship and the relief grant?
Yes, yes. We have a lot of overlap. They serve two different purposes. The relief grant is, as Terrell and Crystal, I think it mentioned, is for FY22, which is our current year. So we're planning on launching it on Monday, and then hopefully award notifications will go out in late June. So you'll be paid out in this cycle. The fellowship grant that is due to launch on June 6th will be for FY23, which starts October 1st. So it's part of a different fiscal year. But yes, please apply to both.
Does the age limit, I mean, is there an age limit for any kind of grants? Because I am 65 years old and a struggling artist still. And
no, absolutely no.
And does it, I mean, is there, I mean, I'm very new to this. I did not know about this system, and I don't know how to apply for a grant. So would there be some kind of, I can have a one-on-one talk to somebody, or?
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, most definitely. So please, the first step might be to come to one of the workshops to get a sort of a broad sense of the grant program.
Okay.
And then once the guidelines come out, this on Monday for the fellowship program, for example, you'll see that, we make ourselves available to meet with you one-on-one and to help guide you through the process. So, but yeah, you should not be backwards about coming forward and reaching out to us for assistance. As I said, we want folks to be successful. So.
Yeah, I haven't, what do you call, I have been an artist all my life, but the thing is that I did not know there were programs where I could, what do you call, get some kind of a push to do more work, because I'm always worried about how am I going to support my passion.
Great. Well, I'm glad you found us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And it might also be a possibility to apply for the relief grant. I don't know if we said that, but on Monday, there will be for new grantees. It's a relief grant to help support artists through pandemic-related challenges, and it will be open for 3 weeks. So that might also be another entry point for you, Ms. Shah.
Did we miss anything in the chat, Jeff?
I think we've caught most of it, and the YouTube ones as well. Let's see.
I'm keeping track as well, trying to read through.
Actually, I put up a question on the chat seeking information from Kevin about the digital support. Can we get some more detail on what that means? What's the possibility there?
Of course. Yeah. Would you mind refreshing us as to what your question was? And I'm sure Kevin will be happy to jump in and answer.
Oh, just that, could I get some more detail about what you're looking for, or what kind of digital support would be available in a facilities grant? It's very general. It sounds great, but I wonder what you'd be looking for.
Great. I see Kevin popping up, so you can respond.
Yeah, sure. And it's not necessarily about digital support for a facilities grant, but it's about the inclusion of digital projects as a capital project. And so, for instance, a couple of organizations this past year successfully applied for website overhauls as they realized that their traditional constituency wasn't able to attend in-person events they realized that their website didn't have streaming capacity, which is how they were advancing all of their work. And so that was a pretty substantial project that they needed to take on that had a pretty substantial bill. So they applied for that. Other similar kinds of projects. But if you have something in mind, then I'll leave my email in the chat and we can follow up afterwards.
Well, that sounds great. It's not so much a project in mind, if I understand what you just said, that the support for streaming the digital aspects of an organization's work sounds terrific. So, if I understand correctly, so it's not a specific project. It is it's organizational support for digital assets.
Generally, I think something good for anybody to keep in mind for facilities and buildings applications as you consider and weigh your priorities as an organization is just bear in mind that the intent of the fund is not to fund things like maintenance or recurring costs or anything like that for any project. And so I always encourage organizations to take a look at your wish list of items and proposals and things that are really going to help your organization advance into the future or stabilize some practice. Everyone's got that list. And so as far as a potential digital project goes, I would encourage you to take that same kind of approach.
Well, it's for a music organization, support for streaming capabilities, so forth, it's huge. And so if I perceive correctly that's what this could help with, that's terrific.
Hi, Kevin. I have if I could tack on to that, this Tony. You mentioned there to take a look because there would be some changes, and I'm looking regularly to see when the guide will be available that will illuminate some of these changes and when the RFA will be available. Do you have a sense of when?
Yeah, the upcoming cycle of facilities and buildings for the capacity, for capital projects is going to launch on June 6th. And it's going to have about a 5-week application window, so there should be a lot of time to look through any changes that may be evident from prior years and reflect those in your application.
Brenda Jones, she has her hand raised.
Hi, everybody. I missed the presentation.
I think you're muted, Brenda.
You went on mute, Brenda.
I'm sorry. What happened? Okay, hello, everybody again. I was curious just to know who is the project manager for GoGo events or programming. I think when he introduced himself, the audio was a little distorted. So who will be the project manager?
That would be Robert Nunez. He will come on screen so you can see his face in a minute. Thank you for that.
Can you see me? And also, can you hear me? Just want to double check.
We can hear. Yes, now we can.
Oh, Robert. Okay.
Right here. But just as a reminder, for the fellowship program, yes, come to me for GoGo. But if you're doing projects, events, or festivals, if it's you as an individual, you can still somewhat come to me because I'm still kind of tied to it, but definitely talk to Travis Marcus on that end. But definitely like a frontline, you can come talk to me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
And just I wanted to say, I'm so happy to hear about all the transparency. I ran Parklands Community Center from 1980 to 2015. And it was very, very difficult back in the 90s to try to get a grant because we were not, quote, a artistic or, artistic organization. We provided a lot of human and social services. So I'm glad to hear that you all are very open to everybody who's trying to spread the love and the art across the whole city.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ravi. It's also worth saying in the spirit of that, community engagement and working with our folks, all of you all, in shaping some of these grants. We are very open at all times throughout different processes, the panel process, these teletown halls, and our normal sort of end of year analysis and assessment of our grant programs to hear feedback from all of you about the application process, about the grant scopes, about what we cover. And so do please provide us with feedback. We take it in and we shape what happens next. We're also going to be a lot more intentional about socializing some of these changes so that the community is not caught off guard. Individual artists are not caught off guard. A lot of people depend on this support to do what they do, and so we don't want it to be a shock, and to for folks to think that decisions are being made behind closed doors, and so we're going to be a lot more intentional about focus groups and teletown halls and conversations with community about changes that we're considering for some of these grant programs. So there will be more coming in the next few months as our grant programs, and especially as we begin to shape next year's grant programs as well.
Do we offer funding for the cost of film distribution, marketing, and outreach?
Yes, but it really depends on the specific project. Generally, with our project-based grants, one of the criteria is district impact and engagement. And so, it would be really important for an applicant to be able to support what it is they're doing and say, yes, this is reaching, X number of district residents, that type of thing. Yeah, or, we're having screenings across different wards in the city with Q&As at the end of that type of thing. So the engagement part of it, I think, is really important, as well as just the distribution of it, pushing it out there. So.
Because I think this the film was already created, so this would be the getting it out there.
Right. Yeah. And actually, that is sort of a better fit for projects, events, and festivals. Sometimes when folks come to us who say, "Oh, I want to make a movie," they can't address the district impact and engagement piece of it. But when you have it in the can, or whatever the appropriate expression is, and you're ready to distribute it, that may be where there's more opportunity, as I said, to really engage with the district through screenings, through talkbacks with the directors or the actors or whomever, or around the particular content, if it's a documentary film or narrative and so on. So yeah, so projects, events, and festivals would probably be the best route to take for that.
I know we're beginning to wind down with questions. If folks have any last minute questions to go, we're at almost at time. We're about 20 minutes out. We're happy to take maybe a final 2 or 3 questions and we can wrap up.
Yes, this is Jay Dura. I had a question about eligibility for as DC residents. Does that include if you have a studio in DC? Would you be considered a DC resident? I know a lot of your grants require you to be a DC resident.
You mean if the artist does not live in DC but has a studio in DC?
Yes, yes.
The artist does have to live in DC. The artist has to be a district resident. Mainly because this is taxpayers' money, so it goes, there's a logic to that piece of it that way. But any applicant, organization, or well, let me not say organization, because we do have a couple of public art programs that take in regional, that are open to regional arts organizations. But individuals do have to be district residents to apply for our grants. Yes.
Okay.
Haran, for further clarification, the organizations for public art projects must be within the District of Columbia, but individuals on certain grants, and as for the annual one is for the art bank, they can be within the 50-mile radius. And organizations that apply to art bank can have regional artists part of their gallery or part of their collection.
Excellent. Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, but if anyone is specifically interested in art bank and those qualifications, please reach out to Sarah Gordon. I can drop her email in the chat. We have other special grant opportunities that may be open to regional artists. So check out, if you're interested in a public art grant, look on the landing page and you can get more specific information.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Masapula had their hand raised.
Yes, hello, wishing everybody well. I have a short question. Last year or the year before, some of the criteria for samples had changed. I'm wondering, are applicants required to submit full samples? Are we back to that, or?
Which grant program, Mr. Pula?
The fellowship grant, for example.
Hey, Mazi.
And also the relief fund.
Mm-hmm.
Mazi, hey, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So with the relief grant, we do not ask for work samples. We just ask for evidence that you are, trying to engage as an artist in work in DC. So that's one. With the fellowship grant, we do ask folks to submit work samples that are within a 3-year time frame. And I know a lot of folks have been, not been able to create, perform, present, so on because of the pandemic. But we're also interested in what folks have been doing, in their homes, on their porches, out in the community, in the open air, as well as what they may have done more traditionally. When you say full work samples, we do encourage folks to be mindful of the panelists and what amount of time the panelists have to review materials. And so we give some parameters in the guidelines, if you're a filmmaker, and you do not have the ability to edit your 3-hour feature down to, 3 to 5 minutes, please provide timestamps for the panelists. Otherwise, the panelists will just look at wherever they want to on your 3-hour feature. Similarly, and I know you're sort of a literary humanities person, Mazi, direct their attention as to where you would like them to work. So you can provide them with excerpts of, novels you've written, a small number of poems if you're a poet that shows the range, your range, as it were. So yeah, so really try to be intentional and mindful. So as opposed to expecting, panelists to look through your 600-page anthology of poetry, which may all be wonderful, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. Great to see you. And the workshops, as I said, will give you a clearer sense. So, we'll drill into the specifics of each of these programs. So.
I get to miss all my graduate school South African brethren when I hear your voice, Mazi. Thanks for coming. Any other questions, folks?
Can someone tell me specifically when the workshops are? I know that you all pointed out going to the website, to the web page, but is there a specific date in place?
Is which program are you interested in?
The fellowship and with the relief grant, as well as with the art bank.
Okay, it's a whole lot of workshops.
Yes.
Perhaps the easiest way might be I don't know if folks have the slides pulled up that they can share out loud, but the easiest way might be when this gets posted on Monday, by Monday, that you'll see when the various workshops are, because it's a range of workshops and times. The relief grant rolls out on Monday morning, so it'll be a 3-week period that it's open, and workshops will be running in that 3-week period.
There you
HFP
go.
will open on June 6th. Okay, good.
Yeah, Crystal just dropped the relief workshops into the chat
Okay.
for individuals.
Good.
Okay.
So it's various times and various dates.
And Haran, with the fellowship, because we, East Arts facilities and buildings and the fellowship are not scheduled to launch until June 6th. We're still finalizing the workshop dates with those.
So stay tuned.
And then I think Lauren just popped in a link to the Art Bank workshop dates.
Excellent. So if you're able to access the chat.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thank you. That answers.
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Guys, could you please clarify? Because I was gonna go to the library to print out some of the application forms, but now I'm not sure. Should I go on Monday or some of them there, like the one for the fellowship? Is it there right now?
Fellowship gets launched on June 6th. The relief one gets launched on Monday, so it's not there yet. Neither of those are there yet. The programs that you can find online right now are arts education, projects, events, and festivals, Art Bank, arts exhibition grants, and field trips experience. And then we have some that have already opened earlier, such as the Murals DC and the PABC grants. So depending on which one you're interested in, the 2 pending ones are Monday, the relief for individuals and organizations, and then the Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program launches on June 6th. So that's upcoming. You won't find anything online quite yet.
So Mazi, so as Haran said, the relief grant opens on Monday. You have 3 weeks to complete that. And the day that closes, the fellowship opens. So you'll be a professional grant writer by the end of this. So.
Good. The chat has a bit more information for workshops as well. Yeah. All right. We will take maybe one last question and look to wrap up.
I think I know Chelsea asked a question. I think Carrie may have answered. It was about sort of eligible expenses for the fellowship. As I said, we have a general operating support grant. We just had 9 panels and 161 applicants that we facilitated in April. And that's for organizations. With the fellowship, we sort of regard it as general operating support for individuals. So the expenses are, I think Haran mentioned too, that if you want to use the money for, childcare, to pay your mortgage, your rent, to take classes, just really to sustain yourself so you can stay in the district. That is one of the, the major goals of that program, to help sustain artists in a very wonderful but very expensive city.
Mm-hmm. So, Patrick, if you don't mind, I think we have a couple more quick slides to share as we close out, and a couple more minutes to ask through chat if you have questions. But please, again, this is not the last time you'll interact with us. We encourage you to keep talking to us and keep asking questions so we can support your success in applying for these grants. This last slide has some of the upcoming public programs that we have lined up. On May 17th, we have the last of the 7 workshop series that really speaks to inclusion, diversity, equity, and access in arts learning settings. So there is a session on inclusive design in virtual arts programming. We also have our physical gallery space here at the office has been beautifully renovated and with professional lighting, and we've been hosting some really exciting exhibitions there under the leadership of our public art team and Lauren and Sarah and our public art Vanessa and others who have been facilitating these public programs, panel discussions. There was a really good one yesterday. So the current exhibition that's open is called Fragile Beauty. It delves deep into artists' response to the to environmental justice questions. So please consider coming through to catch the exhibition. It's a government building and not an obvious place to have such exhibitions, but the space is beautiful and we are open all day, 9 to 6 for folks to come through, 9 to 5:30 to come through and see the exhibition. And please also participate in these programs. They're open and they're free for the public to attend. Our last workshop in our series of community engagement tracks is the methods and materials on making public art and thinking about conservation. If you're a visual artist, what does conservation look like for your work if it's acquired for collections? What are the best materials to use for archival and for longevity purposes? So we have our very own registrar and person who does conservation, Ron Humbertson, who wasn't able to come on the camera earlier, but he will be leading this panel of on discussion for the CAH and the community workshop. There you go. Ron has his email up in the chat. And I think, Reggie, I would love to give you the last word as we wrap up. Thank you all for spending your morning with us and for participating so actively in this partnership that we have working together. Thank you. Thank you, staff, as well.
Good. I can only reiterate what you said. Thanks for investing almost 2 hours of your time in hearing from us, speaking with us, offering questions that you have, allowing us to answer those, and to recognize that this really wants to be a partnership between us and our grants community. So we hope that we've answered your questions. Those that we haven't, we'll follow up as you see fit. Please participate in subsequent ones. Get your other colleagues who perhaps couldn't make the call to join us next time, because we really want to understand how we best serve you and to deliver you in the way that works best for you. So I reiterate what Haran said. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to our grantee partners, and have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Talk to you,
Bye.
everyone, soon again. Take care.
Take care.